I could become head of digital at Playboy Enterprises. Who comes out on top?
What's your reaction to the job offer? What do you think about that?
You know, like I'll have to talk to my family. We'll have to talk to my family, and I'll have to see what we can do.
Excited to announce my next chapter. That's so funny. But by the way, at one point, I remember when I was running my startup, this was one of my I thought this was fair game, all's fair in love and business, but.
So the point of this video is we're gonna make a animation to for this character to equip a sword. So I'm using the control rig and a combination of the control rig and sequencer to do all my animations here. But I'm also gonna listen to a podcast while I do this.
I think other people would think this is completely unethical.
And for animation, I like to just start with the idle, third person idle. Beta control rig, boom. Create. Okay, so that gives us all our. This is what the control rig allows us to move the character. We're gonna say when the character equips, he's gonna probably reach his right hand. Oop. I'm gonna go this way. And I'll probably go over here and grab the sword. So we'll do that in a minute.
I told people on my team, I was like, oh yeah, you should go interview, or maybe even just go work at one of these companies. Go, while we're building this thing for the next 3 months, go just find out some information about these other companies that are they're not our direct competitors, but if I knew information, it would be quite valuable to me. And I remember, to me, I literally didn't even think twice about it, which is maybe where my moral compass is broken. But I remember, and half of my team was like, oh, great idea. And then one person was like, I don't know if that's the best idea. And I was like, what? Why? What did I say? And then I realized, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that could be seen as kind of dirty, I guess. So, so I was like, oh, whoops, my bad. Never mind. If I ask you to do anything that is considered bad, cancel the plan.
Well, the other tactic is you just try to recruit the other people's team, not intending to hire them for a particular role, and you say super high salary. Yeah, and they're like, well, why would you consider leaving this company? Oh, you don't like how it's run? What don't you like about it?
Right. I definitely talked to ex-employees. So I've done this twice. I found somebody who worked at a place before. I'll call them up. And usually somebody who's left the company, they don't really mind sharing. They're not sharing confidential information, but they'll tell you initially we thought about things this way, but then we learned this. It's I saved.
So what I'll do is I'm kind of learning animation here too. So I want this hand to reach up and kind of reach across the body whenever, so the body's going to twist a little bit, start. This is going to be yeah, we'll just play with it for a little bit.
I remember once I just pivoted my business because we were going to do this one thing. And then I talked to this guy, and actually it's funny because this actually played out. I was building a thing that was getting really popular amongst teens doing group FaceTime. So this is before the iPhone let you do groups. And so it was we kind of started to grow really fast amongst teenagers. And I was like, how has nobody thought of this before? This is not a new idea, just instead of FaceTime, group FaceTime. And so I went back and I talked to I forgot who it was. There's some app that had blown up 7, 8 years before that, before House Party. So we did this, and House Party was just starting to do the same thing. And I went and talked to somebody from Voxel, or I forgot what it was called. There's some app like that had done this before. And they had gotten pretty far. Like they had raised like tens of millions of dollars. They had millions of users. They were like sponsoring concerts that like teens were going to and be like, oh, download our app and then group FaceTime. Yeah, group FaceTime when you go home. And like, it was like the thing. And it like didn't work. So I asked the guy, I was like, hey, I'm kind of building group FaceTime now. Like, what went wrong for you guys? And he's like, buddy, let me tell you, here's how your future's going to play out. And he basically described kind of like word for word a bunch of things. And I was like, and so in my head, I'm thinking, it's good input, it's good feedback, a good like real world data. In my mind, do I have a compelling counter argument to why my fate is going to be different than this person's fate? And I did not. And so I was like, yeah, I think the things he's saying, I have really I think basically his like main thing was it'll grow, but it won't stick and you'll never make money. And
which was like the whole point of the Clubhouse thing.
Yeah, which is very similar to what ended up happening with Clubhouse. Before Clubhouse, House Party. So the guys who created Meerkat, they pivoted to House Party. House Party blew up. VCs are funding it, tens of millions of dollars, doing group FaceTime. And I remember telling one of the VCs who did it, I go, hey, here's why we pivoted away from this like just a couple months ago, even though we kind of had similar, like pretty explosive growth, was I saw some problems with churn. I couldn't think of what I would do to mitigate it. And then I talked to this guy and he was like, yeah, here's the problem. They'll come home from school. He's like, there's a sweet spot in age where they have friends, but they don't have a car. And so they come home and they're like trapped. So they just want a group. They'll just like go home, go to the room and they'll just call their friend for like 6 hours straight. He's like, let me guess.
Dude, so
in your data, you're seeing 6 hour sessions. I was like, yeah, we are. And he's like, yeah, cool. That's normal. And I was like, oh, I thought we were special. He's like, no, that's exactly how they'll use this. And then they go to car and then they'll go to college. And when they go to college, their freshman year, they'll use this a ton with their friends from high school. And then they'll never use it again. Because they stop talking to their friends from high school. And then in college, their friends are all around them. They don't need group FaceTime. And then they become an adult and they never need group FaceTime. He's like, so
why did these get funded then?
Because you see the chart, you see growth, like we were saying, you see 6 hour sessions and you say, is this the next big social network? Maybe this is the next Snapchat, next TikTok. And so you bet. And like, sure enough, House Party sold for not a lot to Fortnite basically in the end as like a team and technology acquisition. And that never saw the light of day again. Like it didn't work out. But, you know, I think other people should do what I did, which was talk to the past competitors. And they're always going to have like, they're always going to be jaded. So, you know, they're never going to say this will work because their shit didn't work and they think they're smart. But when you hear their argument for what went wrong, you say, does that match my data and experiences? And then secondly, do I think anything has changed? Is the why now any different? And in my case, it was not.
Damn. That's crazy, man. We gotta like when I see some of these things get invested, I also get intoxicated into them as well. I'm like, oh wait, this is not gonna work.
Yeah,
consumers, you know, like, just so hard.
Honestly, it's still a fine bet. Like somebody was saying this when I did that Clubhouse thing, and a bunch of people were like, oh, I think that's true. I think that's how it's gonna play out. A couple smart people pointed out, like, look, these guys invested. I think they invested like $100 million. I think Andreessen invested $100 million at a $4 billion valuation for Clubhouse at its peak. And like since then, the chart just shows it going down, down, down. But they're like, you know, their fund is this big, so this is like, it's not a like majority. It's not like they're betting the house on this. They're betting like their normal size bet. It's just a big number to you. Secondly, it's a pretty binary option. Like this is either going to go big and this price is going to look cheap, or it's going to go to zero. And even if it goes down, they're going to be able to sell this for something, and they have preference. So they're going to make back, you know, if this thing sells for $50 million eventually to Twitter or whoever, you know, they're going to get the whole 50 because they have like they get the money first. So they'll make back their money first. And so like, you know, like on the whole, it's not that bad of a bet, even if it doesn't work out. And if it does work out, you know, you're a genius and great. You know, everything worked out great. So. I was going to tell you an idea.
Yeah, well, you were going to tell me an idea.
My ideas are on a beverage company. Okay, so I was thinking about, I was like, damn, everybody's done every variation of this. That's like bottled water, boxed water, liquid death. There's water in a can that looks like a beer can.
Logan Paul has one.
There's vitamin water. There's non-vitamin water. There's flavored water. There's sparkling water. And then there's like 10 of each of these, right? So I was like, what haven't people done? And so I came up with this brand, and this is free for anybody to run with. Just
ketchup. What's it like? Hot dog water?
Cut your boys in. If you do this. I'm calling it Felix Felicious, which is, I don't know if you ever read Harry Potter, but it's basically this potion that Harry gets. He wins this thing, and the professor gives him this potion. And it's like, you get one drop of this, and it's going to give you great, like, good luck for one day. 24 hours, you're going to have, everything's going to go your way. And the potion was called Felix Felicius or something like that, or Felices. I don't know how you say it, but like in my head when I was reading it, I called it Felix Felicius. So we're going to go with that. So basically, it's good luck water.
Felix Felicius, and it's like you're one lucky cat.
I don't know. I bet I'm just butchering the pronunciation, and I don't know what it is. But what a great slogan that you just came up with as we build this brand in public here. Felix Felicius, you're one lucky cat. And the brand, it's basically it's water that's infused with things that give you good luck. I don't know what that is. It might just be good vibes. It might be like some crystal, like, that Goldschlager liquor. Like there's like some flakes at the bottom that are your little good luck charms. This comes from, the Himalayas. It comes from whatever the luckiest place on earth is. I don't know what that is. We'll find out. That's the idea. It's just placebo water. And it's openly placebo water. But you know what? I like when I feel like I had a little good luck charm at the start of my day. I like the idea that, hey, I got that big test today. What am I going to go grab? Vitamin water or lucky water? I'm going to go grab the lucky water if I got the test, just in case. Just in case.
I've heard a lot of ideas on this podcast, and that is definitely one of them. That's what I would say about that.
Okay, my second silly idea is, again, another great name. It's called Galimony. What's Galimony, you ask? Galimony is alimony for your girlfriend. So here's the deal. Let's say you're a girl, you're dating a guy who's super into crypto, right? He keeps talking to you about Ethereum and Bitcoin and Zcash and the next big thing. And he keeps telling you that Web3 is the future and, smart contracts and the dollar's going to crash. And he never needs to talk to a lawyer again because of smart contracts. You say, oh, that's cool. Actually, I have a great smart contract idea for us. And
I have no clue I just did that, but that makes the sequencer easy.
he's like, oh, I'm so glad you're finally getting into Web3. This is the future. You're like, yeah, it's the future for sure. Hey, why don't you just use your MetaMask to log into Galimony? And what you do is you put up 1 ETH, and if we break up, I get half. And it's basically a divorce for non-married couples.
It sounds
where
stupid.
the boyfriend is obsessed with Web3, and you're the girlfriend, and you're like, how do I profit off of this guy's annoying obsession?
Like, I'm giving this podcast a go, but these guys are dorks, like, to the max. But they're rich dorks. But girlfriend alimony, really? Fucking nerds, man.
All right, that's actually good.
Alimony.
That's good.
Smart contract that would go viral, and you just both lock up your ETH, or maybe he locks up your ETH, he locks up the ETH, and it's actually here's okay. Let me make it better. Let me just riff with myself here. This is a one-man brainstorm. Okay, he puts in the ETH. The ETH is never at risk because maybe he's like, why would I take this deal? You say the ETH is never at risk, my friend. If we break up, you'll always get your ETH back. But while we're dating, this is going to be automatically yield farming interest, and I get.
You can literally tell these are guys that never really got women that were attracted to them sexually. These are like literally just dorks.
Keep the interest on this thing because I'm putting in this time dating your schmuck ass who's obsessed with Web3. So put a little collateral up. It's going to be farming. We get to have a Web3 experience. This is the future. Am I right? That's what I would be doing if I was dating a Web3 bro.
So how does she get paid? She like clicks a button, says we
smart
broke
contract.
Up.
Actually, maybe it's tied to like your Instagram account. I don't know. Maybe both sides have to confirm that you're broken up.
Yeah, but why would I ever confirm that?
Because then you start dating the next girl. I'm just going to send her this link that says he signed in with a cryptographic signature that only he could do with his private keys saying we are not broken up. And so, you kind of need that proof of relationship to be accurate. Otherwise, you're leaving a little liability out there by saying with the utmost truth that you are in a relationship. So he's going to have to be true.
Have you heard young kids, what they say now is the receipt?
Yeah, these are receipts.
Yeah, like show me the receipt. And that's what we're talking here. I just learned that.
For the record, these guys are like 30 years old. They sound like they're 60-year-old boomers that have been with the same woman and they're a doormat to their wives. But no, these are like 30-year-old dorks.
a TV show that you just discovered before everyone else called Cheer.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm basically like at like these indie festivals, just finding these hidden gems like Cheer.
Yeah, so Galimony I'm on board with. I think that's cool. That is a viral idea.
Ben, young, powerful Mormon Ben, can you come out here and tell us, give me your rankings, 1 to 10, 10 being I'm quitting my job and I'm going starting this, 1 being I can't believe you just said that idea. Give me Felix Felicius, where are you at?
I'm honestly at like a 9 or 10.
What? Thank you.
You threw out the term though. You just kind of threw away like placebo water, which I also think is like a separate brand maybe for like science nerds, but like same idea.
And
basically.
The tagline is like, at least we admit we're full of shit.
No, it's actually placebo water is actually part of the category. I'm a category creator in addition to an entrepreneur, designer, and fashionista. So the category here, it's like plant-based, but it'll just be called placebo-based beverages. And these are placebo-based beverages of which we launched the first one.
And what about
on board? And Galimony, that one, not quite there. Not quite to the level of Felix Felicis. I'm going to say that's more like a 6. Like there's something there, but you need to develop it a little bit more.
Okay.
Anything less than an 8 is a 0, by the way.
Feedback is a gift. So I thank you for the gift, Ben.
Can I tell you about one thing really quick that I just discovered? So have you heard of the Twitter handle Elon Jet?
Elon Jet? No. What is that?
Dude, there's this young kid who created...
Is it just basically track Elon's jet? Is that the guess?
Who just tracks Elon's jet. And so as of now, he's near where our friend Jack lives in Hawaii.
That's so funny.
And so basically when you have a jet... How
many followers does this have?
83,000. And so it said 20 minutes ago.
Out to the poor guy who's like trying to produce high quality content every day and is grinding to like 12,000 followers. And then Elon's jet just zips to 83,000 followers overnight.
It says something like, all right, took off from Kailua, Hawaii, now going to Austin, Texas, arriving in 6 hours and 17 minutes. Landed in Austin, Texas, approximate time 6 hours and 21 minutes. It's pretty wild, isn't it?
This, yeah. I don't know if you're not a big sports guy, like a mainstream sports guy, but this became a big deal every year for NBA free agency. So basically, Kawhi Leonard becomes a free agent. He just won the finals. He's the finals MVP. He's like the hottest free agent, and nobody knows where he's gonna sign. And all the reporters were trying to like work their sources, but like their sources are basically like teams leaking information that makes them look good, and the agent leaking information that just like is a negotiation in public against other teams. And Reddit actually solved the case. They were like, hey, we can just track Kawhi's jet. Oh, look, he's going to LA. I bet he signs with the Clippers. And sure enough, signed with the Clippers. Like,
wait, what type of jet did he have? Like, why? So how does jet registration work?
So they could track basically any a private flight has to go through air traffic control. That's how these guys do all this stuff. So,
and so they have to, so what they do is the passenger.
They just figure out once you don't know who's the passenger, but you figure out whose jet is it. So for example, this is Elon's jet. What they were tracking for Reddit, I think, was the owner's jet. So they knew which teams were going to pitch him. So it'd be like, oh, a flight from Miami to Toronto just left. That's the Miami Heat owner's jet. So that's them going and pitching their case. Oh, they got a second meeting. So that means they're doing better than the Knicks who didn't get a second meeting. And they were tracking that. And then I forgot how, I think what it was like someone had basically like they know who the billionaire's jets are, and you can't like shake that. Once that's tagged, it's tagged. And so from there they knew, and somebody was like letting him use their jet. It wasn't Kawhi's jet, but like something like that was going on where a rich guy was letting Kawhi use his jet for this purposes.
Dude,
and so they knew before the professional journalists knew where he was going to sign.
This is badass. I've never heard about this. This is awesome. I knew that like jet tracking was like that, but I didn't realize it was that good that you could like for basketball trades. It's really scary. It's kind of
I feel like you shouldn't be able to do this.
Dude, what's crazy is like
these are the kind of guys that buy another man's jerseys and cheer him on in the stands. Like, all right, we're going to another investment podcast.
To keep me even-tempered. That's why I do it. So I will personally go out and try to find opinions that disagree with me. There are a lot of Wall Street pundits, and I do agree, that the Fed does not have the backbone to truly fight inflation and put the economy into a recession. So you have to make an assumption, this is from Richard Bernstein, that inflation will be 2 to 3% higher. And that's another thing we've done here at RIA. Within our planning software, we raised the overall level of inflation. In other words, the foundational level of inflation that hums through every goal. We raised it. Middle of last year. I was concerned that I was a little too early. And I would have to pull it back. But I had enough.
Let's say if, like, this point is 0055, this is where we're going to start pulling the sword out. I'm actually going to save this call tonight. Oh, you know what? I need to save. Yeah, I'll keep going.
Information from the Atlanta Fed and their sticky price index to take the leap of faith. And frankly, we could study all we want. We could study stocks, we could study income statements, cash flow, whatever you want to study. We could study the macroeconomy. Almost everything we do when we come to commit dollars is a leap of faith. I think Lance says it best, and I think it's a real humbling factor when he says it. When he says we're all speculators. We're not really owners. Although that would have devastated me as a kid when I bought McDonald's stock and I thought I was an owner. So when I told my uncle, hey, can you buy me a few shares of McDonald's? Because was reading about stocks when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And coming from a pretty modest background, to say the least, I was like, wow, how could I own part of a company? That's crazy. You mean I could own part of McDonald's? So I went to the local McDonald's in Brooklyn and I ordered about $200 worth of food. And in those days, they would sort of cook it up even before you would pay for it. So they're getting the order ready and all that. And he goes, well, how are you going to pay? I said, pay? I don't have to pay. What do I have to pay for? I'm an owner. No, I wasn't really an owner. I was a speculator. Because I was addicted to quarter pounders and shamrock shakes. Still am. Even though I don't eat them anymore. So you want prices to go higher, but you can do all the research in the world. And the stock works against you. Then you've got rules. Not animal spirits. You've got rules. If this stock is heading lower, do I buy it? Because some people tell you, don't catch a falling knife. Is it a falling knife, or is there something that the market's not seeing that I have the leap of faith to add more money? We've done that with positions here, where something takes them down, but Lance runs the fundamentals with Michael and Nick, and they go, you know what? This is noise. We're going to wait for this, so we pick the price, add money to the position. Then there are positions that the fundamentals turn against us, and we have a rule to get out. This year, if you're going to use emotions like you did maybe last year because everything you touched turned to gold, you're going to, whatever good returns you had last year, you're going to probably lose this year. And many people that I talk to, they're not used to this. Even people that have been in the market for years, have seen cycles. Over the last 12 years, the Fed has cemented their emotions into the market always goes up camp. And I got to go in with a pile driver and crack all that and go back into it, because what people are doing now is they're saying, I got to get all out. I got to get out. I got to get out. Well, your portfolio is down 3%. You have to get out? Why? Getting all out, getting all in does not work. Let us follow our rules. Because no matter what you tell anybody, the buy and hold mentality is so ingrained in everybody's brain that they take the buy and hold and think that you have to hold everything or nothing. Like, you don't understand, like, a portfolio is a living, breathing entity. It ebbs, it flows, it does this movement. If your advisor is following risk management, not market timing, let us do our job. Listen to the information we provide. And speaking of that, we have a very special edition of Candid Coffee tomorrow. We got quite a crowd for tomorrow. Good thing this is Zoom, because we couldn't get a room big enough. Although we could rent out the Astrodome. Maybe Brent can clean up some of the mold in there. So this is going to be with Lance and Danny. I will be there. We want to talk about the Fed's actions, how they affect your investments, how markets are going to respond, best practices and strategies for your portfolio. Tomorrow, January 29th, 8 to 9 a.m.
All I'm doing right here is
Real Investment Advice. Sign up for this Zoom webinar. It's an hour. I promise you, you are going to get something from it that is going to tame those animal spirits. Hey, put that whip away, boy.
Okay.
We want to make sure you're making the right moves in your portfolio. We get back, we're going to talk about it. We're going to deviate a little bit into retirement accounts.
All right.
The qualified charitable distributions are what you need to know. We'll be right back.
Go over here. Grab my neighbor's sword.
The Real Investment Advice blog. It's required reading for the informed investor. Catch it today at realinvestmentadvice.com.
What will the Fed's actions this week mean for your money next week? Join Lance Roberts with Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff for a special edition of Candid Coffee this Saturday, January 29th at 8 a.m. We'll address market conditions post-Fed meeting. Will it be slow or go for Wall Street? And how will the Fed's stance affect your investments? Register now for our special edition post-Fed Candid Coffee at realinvestmentadvice.com. Candid Coffee with Ratliff, Rosso, and Roberts. Realinvestmentadvice.com.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And welcome back. There are a lot of questions for this Candid Coffee tomorrow. We really need like 3 hours. We got one. Any questions we don't get to, we're going to share with you on the radio, because there are some amazing questions that we've received. So before we get to the qualified charitable distributions, the U.S. Employment Cost Index, that's the quarterly measure of wages and benefits paid by employers, it's expected to show that costs are going to go or rise to the highest level in 20 years. That comes out this morning from the Labor Department. That is going to be interesting to see. We also have PCE core deflator, personal spending, personal income, but it's going to be really important. I think obviously the Fed pays a lot of attention to the employment cost index.
Something like that.
Sticky inflation.
Cool, there we go.
Although I don't know if we have to revise
guys,
our definition of sticky, because sticky prices are those like wages, things that when they go up in price, they don't really go back down. But I also think, and I wrote this in October for a blog post, that I think that energy prices have become sticky, less volatile. And the reason for that was because of the political climate and obviously the erratic weather.
All right, so now to save this animation and close up shop for the night, we're going to come down here. We're now going to click this guy, and we're going to bake animation sequence. All right, we're going to put under animations, and then we're going to call it draw sword. Here we go. Export to animation sequence. Open draw sword. There we go.